This video continues my series linking psychotherapy and Aikido, a unique Japanese martial art with a nonviolent philosophy of harmonizing energy between people. Today I'll focus on Ukemi, which is the art not of throwing or pinning people in Aikido, but the art of receiving the throw in a safe way. In English, we might say how to roll with the punches. This has important parallels in psychotherapy, where upsetting topics might feel painful, like a gut punch. Aikido has some insights about how to soften the blow. I'm Dr. Stephen Reidbord, a longtime psychiatrist and psychiatric educator, and a 25-year student of Aikido. At the time I'm making this video, I'm about to advance from second to third degree black belt. And this is more than meds. When a new student walks into an Aikido dojo, a school, the first thing they learn is not how to do an Aikido throw. It's how to receive a throw, how to fall down and get back up without hurting themselves. In Japanese, that's a skill called Ukemi. As a practical matter, it allows every student to play attacker and defender at various times. We take turns. If the students didn't know how to receive a throw, we'd run out of students pretty fast in a class or two. But it goes a lot deeper than that. Most people hear falling and they think failure, losing, getting taken down. But in Aikido, and as I'll explain in psychotherapy, knowing how to receive is the foundation for everything else. The physical version on the Aikido mat has a lot to teach us about emotional resilience, about how to take a hit psychologically and not be hurt by it. First, what is Ukemi in Aikido? In a typical Aikido practice, there are two people. We have the uke, what you might think of as the attacker, although the word actually means the person who receives the technique, the Aikido technique. And we have the person doing the Aikido technique, called the nage, which means the person who throws, or in some schools that person is called the tori, which means the person who takes the attack or controls the exchange. Nage and tori mean pretty much the same thing, the person doing the Aikido technique. Meanwhile, the uke is doing ukemi. And in Japanese, that literally means the art of receiving with the body. Ukemi is not passive collapse or defeat. There's an art to receiving the Aikido technique. It's an active, trained skill. On the one hand, it's not going limp or completely giving up. And on the other hand, it's not tensing up or fighting the technique, resisting or stiffly bracing for the fall. It's accepting that the fall is happening and helping to shape it as it's happening. Instead of falling like a sack of rocks, we learn how to roll forward and backward and to do break falls. These are all techniques designed to disperse the force of the throw so that the person receiving it isn't injured. When someone pushes you physically or even emotionally, the natural reaction is to stiffen up, resist it, push back, to tense up. And that's exactly what gets you hurt. In Aikido, we spend as much time receiving techniques as performing them. Everyone plays uke half the time. We take turns when we practice. Being a good uke, using good ukemi, means staying connected through the technique. Staying present, not running away from the throw, not flinching or retreating, trying to disappear, but not fighting it either. If you've watched my previous videos in this series, I explain that Aikido is not about fighting another person or about giving up and retreating. It's about staying connected. So in a way, the uke and the nage are doing the same thing. They're staying present and connected with each other. Ukemi is part of Aikido practice. Now this is all a little deceptive looking because good Ukemi looks effortless. It looks perfectly smooth, but that takes years to develop. We learn to override the natural instinct to tense up and brace ourselves. And then there's the bonus that the better you do Ukemi in an Aikido class, the more fully your partner, the nage, can do their technique. They know they're not going to really hurt you. So good receiving leads to good giving. On YouTube, Aikido is sometimes criticized as looking choreographed, like it's some kind of dance. And there's some truth to that when we're training with somebody else who's also learning Aikido, because the uke is also practicing how to receive the technique. It looks rather different, a lot less like dancing, if the person being thrown doesn't know any Ukemi. Advanced Aikido students still practice Ukemi about half the time. It's not just for beginners, and it continues to develop over the years. And it's practical in real life. I've fallen a few times in situations completely unrelated to Aikido, and I landed safely without injury. It's not that at the time of the fall I thought about how to fall. It really happens too fast for that. It's that I'd practiced falling many thousands of times, and it just instinctively came to me. I'll also mention that I know people in their 80s who continue to practice Aikido in the dojo, including falling and rolling. Considering all the people in their 80s or their 70s or even younger who fall down and break their hip, well, it's really valuable to know how to fall safely, to know something about Ukemi. Now, my point in making this video is that the same dynamic comes up in psychotherapy. In therapy, receiving means being able to hear something uncomfortable without shutting down. Things like a painful observation, a challenge to your self-image, maybe a pattern in yourself you didn't want to see. The natural instinct is the same as on the Aikido mat, to stiffen up, to defend yourself, to resist it. Basically, to use defense mechanisms. That's not true, you don't understand. Or to use defenses that are like running away, changing the subject, going silent, maybe quitting the therapy. But those are the exact moments where the good stuff happens. If you can stay present, if your psychological Ukemi is good, you can stay engaged, you can emerge unhurt, you can even help your therapist do a better job. To be clear, the therapist is not the one throwing you, not on purpose anyway, but something is, a feeling, a memory, a question you've been avoiding. And your relationship to that, whether you fight it off, do battle with it, or flee from it and avoid it, or receive it with good Ukemi, that determines whether anything changes, whether you get anything out of it. Here are a couple of examples. Someone, it could be your therapist or maybe a friend, points out something about you that's true but painful. Your first impulse might be to deny it, to explain it away, to argue against it. That's the psychological version of resisting it, tensing up. Or you may not want to talk to that person again, which is the equivalent of fleeing, running away, breaking the connection. In contrast, psychological Ukemi is staying present with it, receiving the message, just like on the Aikido mat we receive the throw. Not necessarily agreeing, but letting it in enough to maintain the connection and maybe considering what the message was. Here's another example. Grief, shame, rage, strong feelings feel like an internal attack on your equilibrium. And so your instinct is to shut them down. We have a lot of stress management techniques to do that. You breathe through it, or you reframe the idea. Do something to make the feelings stop. But what Aikido suggests instead is to stay present with the feeling. What if you received it, rolled with it, let it move through you, rather than you trying to stop it? In a previous video in this series, I contrasted doing something to relieve stress versus being a certain way so that the stress doesn't hurt you as much, so it doesn't feel so bad. Well, this is another way of saying basically the same thing. Fighting a throw or shrinking away from it isn't as safe as staying present and connected, feeling it without being overwhelmed by it. It's important to emphasize that Ukemi is not about being a doormat. It's not about letting people hurt you. A good forward roll in Aikido is about dispersing the force so you're not injured. It's a self-protective mechanism. In more advanced Aikido, it even sets you up for switching roles, for immediately becoming the nage. Psychological Ukemi is the same. It's the skill that keeps you from being hurt badly by things that otherwise would hurt you. And by staying connected and not fighting what's happening, you're set up to take control if the situation allows it. If you think therapy is about the therapist doing something to you or for you, you're missing more than half the story. Your capacity to receive, to practice psychological ukemi, is even more important. Resistance in therapy, that is, using defense mechanisms in therapy to avoid painful topics, it's nearly always present. We therapists expect it. We know it's not stubbornness or bad faith. What it is undeveloped psychological ukemi. And like physical ukemi in Aikido, it's trainable. You can do it better with practice. The therapist's role in this is parallel to the nage's role in Aikido. Just like a good nage, the person doing the throw, gives the uke a clear, safe technique to receive, the therapist's job is to give the patient or client a clear communication, something they can hear, that they can receive. And gradually, as the patient or client learns how to roll with it in therapy and receive more, the therapist can do a better job of bringing up topics or ideas secure in the knowledge that they won't injure the client. This connects back to my prior video where I explained that good therapists don't fight with the patient's resistance, they blend with it. And part of that blending is helping the patient or client develop their own capacity to receive it, to hear troubling truths about themselves. Therapists don't fight with their patient's defenses, and ukemi is the other side of the coin. It's why the patient need not fight either, not fight the therapist or fight their own feelings, because falling isn't defeat. It's a skill that allows you to stay in the game. So the next time you find yourself in a difficult spot, a hard conversation, a painful realization, a feeling you'd rather not have, notice the impulse to stiffen up, to fight it or to flee from it, the fight or flight response. Instead, ask yourself, what would it be like to receive this? Not to collapse, not to surrender, but to roll with it, to stay present, to let it move through you. Have you ever caught yourself resisting something in therapy that it turned out was exactly what you needed to hear? Let me know in the comments. I read every one of them, and if you ask me a good question, I'll give you a thoughtful answer. Please like this video, but only if you really like it, and please subscribe if you have not already. This video is part of a playlist I'm doing on psychotherapy and Aikido, and here's a link to the playlist. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.